I'm a male, now 32 years old. Back in 2017, I was almost 24, but looked very young, thin with shaggy blonde hair, and I've always had sort of a bouncy walk, so from far away, it looks like a kid walking, you could say. And because of this, I was usually mistaken for a high school kid by people I didn't know. It was around midnight, and I was walking a block away from my house on the empty streets, when this dingy old pickup truck drove right past me, only to suddenly pull into the grass to quickly turn around about 100 feet ahead of me. I immediately turned left and went towards my apartment, as I was only a 4-minute walk away from it. The pickup truck then turned onto the street I was on, and I immediately started panicking and ran through the small park 30 feet from the road while it was parallel to me. One of the worst things might have happened in this situation, as I tripped and fell on the mulch and started shouting. I genuinely thought I was going to die in that moment. I kept slipping on the floor as I tried to get up and almost fell again, just trying to regain my footing and start running at the same time. I got to the small narrow street that my apartment was on, and the truck slowed down and was coasting right along with me about 4 feet away. Part of me was thinking I should stop and confront him in case it was just some random creep messing with me, but I was afraid I'd be met with a gun or something. My fight or flight kicked in, and I dug through another neighbor's yard and snuck to my apartment in the shadows, so thankfully he didn't see where I went. When I finally got inside, I kept all the lights off and peered out the window. He circled my block around 3 different times before he finally went away. I'm just wondering though, was it potentially a kidnapper or a trafficker that thought I was a young teenage boy, or some deranged hillbilly that got his kicks from making people terrified in the dark? I don't know, but it was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. For some extra context to this situation, I live in a small rural Ohio town less than an hour away from Toledo, and less than 2 hours away from Detroit, 2 trafficking hotspots. I truly hope it was just some sadistic prankster, and I don't remember any kids going missing from the area, but you never know. He might not even be from here as well, which is a scary concept to think about itself. Make sure to stay aware and be careful when walking outside alone, especially during nighttime. A lot of unpredictable people out there. This experience happened a few months ago when me and my classmates were filming a movie for our subject or project we were doing at the time. The genre was horror. I'm quite a competitive student, so after class had ended, we headed towards this abandoned school. This school was located nearby to the sea, and it was okay a few years ago, but due to military stuff it was shut down. However, they still let people enter the compound though. No one really wanted to do that anyway, because of the eerie feeling it gives off being around there. Picture this, a compound of abandoned buildings with broken swings, trees around it, rusty slides, crashing of the waves, and thick bushes. Anyways, it was around 10 p.m. when we went there to film our movie. Everything was going great, and when it was finally my turn to say my line, we would go to another room, but before we entered the room there was some awful smell. We tried to not pay too much attention to the smell, since we wanted to finish recording this part, even when the smell was quite unbearable. For my part that I needed to do, I had to look at the broken window and say, "Did you see that?" This was one of my lines, and as I was just saying my part, right at that moment, I was sure I saw someone looking straight at me from behind the mahogany tree. I was completely sure about it. I stumbled back and stepped on something just a bit close to the broken door. Me and my classmates look at each other and back at the thing I stepped on, then shining our flashlight towards the thing. It was disgusting, but we saw a sack that was filled up halfway and maggots crawling out of it. The smell must have come from there, and now we all knew this. Scared and shocked, we ran away towards the exit gate and intended to never go back there again. Another piece of information about that place was that it was once used as a military base, like their hospital during the war. That's why the place was called base by many people in the residence, because of the war dead bodies that were hard to move or to send back to their family. That's why they buried the corpse anywhere within the base. After it was abandoned for a long time, many years later, skeletons were found along with bones, skulls, etc. Most of us think it was just the soldiers who were buried there, but here's the thing. If you throw or bury someone there, people would think it was just another corpse from the soldiers, which turns the place into a perfect disposal point. "7 years ago, my parents went away on a weekend trip. They were heading down to Louisiana for a wedding my cousins were having. I didn't want to go with them because I had an important test at school which I didn't want to make it up. I was a senior in high school at the time and I was 18, so my parents didn't see anything wrong with me staying home alone for the weekend. I still get chills thinking about what happened though. The first night when they were gone, it was normal. I came home from working my evening shift job and started playing games with my boys. We played until around 1 or 2 a.m. that morning, and I went to bed excited about being able to sleep in that Saturday morning. Whenever I woke up at Saturday morning, the day would be pretty normal. I made a cup of coffee and drove to the store to get some energy drinks, the usual. That night, I went to bed normally around 1 or 2 a.m. and had nothing strange happen. Sunday morning, I woke up and checked my phone to see if I had any notifications from any of my friends. I didn't, so I went to my photo gallery to look at some memes I had saved to send to my boys. Though when I was looking through my gallery, I could see pictures of me from hours before, with me sleeping in them. Some pictures were stamped at the times of 2:35 a.m., while another was 3:07 a.m., and so on. All pictures took of me while I was sleeping were from positions that would have been impossible for me to accidentally take them myself. My parents didn't believe me for some reason, and even my friends let me know they didn't even sneak in, which makes this whole thing very confusing. I still have no idea who took those photos of me, and I don't know if I ever will. Hello, I'm female, and I want to say this is not the first time I've had a stalker, so I may be paranoid. To explain what's happening, I'm going to describe what my house looks like first. The first floor of my house contains my garage, and above that is an attic space. This attic space connects to my closet, and the space has a door that locks from the outside of my closet. In this attic space, there is a window that's big enough for a person to fit through if they climb the roof, and there isn't even any glass or any sort of protection on the window. I want to say that this attic door is randomly locked when nobody has locked it, but anytime I've gone in there, there's nothing of concern or anything that proves someone has been in there, except for the fact that sometimes there will be screws left on the floor in different places that are always placed upwards, and it randomly unlocks as well. I don't own a key for it, so I have no idea how the door does this. I assume it must have been an unused door that's hard to get into sometimes, though this has always concerned me. However, I just brushed it off. More recently, I've been hearing quite a lot of activity on my roof. Usually, I could hear animals on my roof, but this time, it was heavier sounding noises, and it's just so much more louder than it usually is. The reason to why I am saying this though, is because today I was playing Minecraft in my room, when suddenly I heard this really loud slamming noise from my closet, followed by running footsteps on my roof and a car starting up and driving off outside. This was really strange, and if you're wondering why I haven't called the cops yet, it's because I just don't know if that's enough evidence for anyone to look into. The slamming noise could have been a neighbor, and the footsteps could have been an animal probably, but I'm still freaked out about the situation. The timing for when this happened was very concerning though, since my father was out of town that day and the day before, so one of the cars in the driveway was missing. This could possibly mean any stalker could know that he is the one that's gone, though I still have the feeling within me that I'm just paranoid.